So again, here's the 5-inch shell. That's the timed fuse. I'm just throwing a few stubbies in there to hold its place. I'll put the real ones in later. Don't want to get glue all over them. What I found works well is I just put glue throughout it. I put it in quite generously. And then I let it sit for a little bit. And then after that, we'll go ahead and put these. These were the ones that were not the strobe. I guess it's red to blue. Measured it, it was about a 4-second burn. And then I'll show you in a minute here, but these are the strobe, which was also about a 4 to 5-second burn. This will be 2 layers. I'll show you in a bit here. So these are some of the stars that I plan on putting in that 5-inch shell. Can't see it very well, but that right there, you've got a strobe, and then that's just colored. So I'm going to measure the time to see how long they burn for, to see if they're going to touch the ground or not, kind of a thing. I'm looking for a longer burn since it's going to be a 5-inch shell. So this right here, strobe, might set off the other. This is a strobe. And this right here is colored. So I'll go ahead and look at this video to see how long it burned for. So kind of nuts, but I ended up using that whole thing and it was just perfect to fill both sides. I've done it without the glue, but I find without the glue, what happens is gravity takes over and they just kind of fall down into the center. So just a little bit of glue, I've realized that it kind of holds onto it, and that way I'm not fighting gravity. I'll give it about 8 hours, 24 hours, and then I'll go to the next step. So this is what I've gotten to so far. I swapped out the timed fuse. I had the short ones in there just to kind of save its place with the true longer one. This is the true 5-second fuse, which will bring the fire to the center and detonate it all. I should have just put that in initially because while I was trying to swap them out, I was making a mess. These things were starting to fall out pretty easy. The glue will hold it in okay, just enough to kind of, but as soon as you start pressing on it and stuff, they start crumbling and falling in. So I'm going to try this out. I don't know if it'll work or not. I took tissue paper. What I did is saran wrap, tissue paper, smashed it down into a 3-inch shell, sprayed it with hairspray, and then I let it set up so that it has somewhat of a form. I did a second one with the slit, so the plan is to put it in right there. And then I will take some of the granulated black powder that I've made, which is, what is it, that right there? And I'll probably put some throughout here. And then after that, I'll do this, place that there, and then I'll do another layer of the white strobe around that, and then after that I'll put all of the burst charge in the center and probably some kind of a booster. And I have a pig behind me trying to violate me. There we go. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So this is what I've gotten to so far. I've noticed that the granulated black powder is kind of falling to the center, so I ended up just throwing this in, gonna do a layer. I'll start to build this up now, and then hopefully I'll be able to squeeze in the granulated black powder around the periphery as I build it up. So this is where I'm at so far with the 5-incher. Again, it's got the spoilet, 2 of them. I don't know why I did it that way. There's a lot more work to do it that way, but I figure maybe it'll look cool. Also, if one fails to ignite, then the other will, kind of more likely. Although I've only ever had one shoot up and not really blow. And it wasn't an ignition issue. I think it ignited the spoilet, but it just didn't push the fire up into the shells, what happened. So right now I think I have about 4 layers of cotton. I think it's 8 ply or something. as well as paper that I've doused in wood glue-like stuff. I'll show you guys, maybe I'll try to show you this stuff later on what I'm using. So I don't want to make it too thick right now. It's probably about halfway to the point where it's going to fit snugly down the tube. At this point, I'd like to dry it, get it nice and dry. I think if I do it all, multiple layers, and then try to dry it, it's going to be too thick and the center will be kind of soggy, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to run this on this guy right here. Let that run for like, I don't know, maybe a couple hours or something. And then after that, I'll wrap it up some more. So I ran this for about 3 hours. It's fairly rock solid. It's hard to show you with one hand. Next up. So this is what I've gotten to for it so far. Let's see. Let it sit out and heat up for a couple of hours. If you listen to it, it's pretty rock solid. And then here's the tube. 5-inch diameter. If you look at that, there's still just a little bit of space, which some space is fine. But I do think I'm going to add another layer. So I'll probably do this, and then one more layer of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm using this stuff right here. I'll spread it out. Kind of like that. And then I'll put these right there. The measurement that I went with to go with the diameter here is about 15 inches by about 2.75. Although I found that at first it was perfectly wrapped around, but towards the end, since it's increasing diameter, there's maybe a little bit of a void, so I should have gone more like 16 inches. So I ended up with 5. So let's see, I smeared it over to the top as well. And then now what I'm gonna do is just this. I'll really mash it, gnarl it up like that to kind of break up the fibers. Do it one-handed. I'll do it two-handed to do a little better job, but I'll do it to all of these. I'll gnarl it up a little bit better, and then I'll take those, throw it in a bag so that it stays moist. So now what I'll do is I've tied a clove hitch, and I've been alternating back and forth. I think I'm on this one right now. I'll put it right over this spoilet. I'll get it nice and tight, and then I'll start wrapping it. Set it on the ground to make it easier. It's going to be kind of hard to show you here, but I just go around. I go twice, and then I spin it, go around twice, spin it. It's really slick, so I'm having a hard time with this. Around twice, spin it, around twice, this is going to be kind of ugly too. Usually I can do a little better job, but it's hard to video myself. I'll keep rotating it. Usually you can get it a little more even, see how much you have left on that side versus this side. It's actually pretty close, so spin it. Spin it. I'll cut it off and then I'll tie another clove hitch around the spoilet. So hopefully this will be the last set of layer. Again, that's what I have so far, and I will just randomly start wrapping it. This is where I'll try it in a couple of times because last thing I want to do is make it so tight that I have to ram it down in. You want a little bit of space in the tube, otherwise it can blow up the tube. So I'll start with like 5. Let's go one more. At this point, I'll just really press it down. Make sure that it's packed tight. As mentioned, we already heated it up the first couple layers and it got to where it was rock solid. Probably not necessary, but I'm going to cover that up. So we'll get to, let's see how close it is. So there's little to no room left. I'm still going to have to run a line down here. It will be seated like this, so I want to run some black match down here to ignite it and shoot it up into the air. So if I get it too tight, then I won't have room to do the black match. So this is about right. We'll go ahead and cook this thing for another couple hours. So when it comes to wetting the high strength craft paper, you've got a few options. This is what I've been using. You can also use wood glue. I wouldn't recommend the Gorilla wood glue. You can at Home Depot, you can for like $12 get a 5 gallon, no, a 1 gallon jug of just typical wood glue, which works just fine. I've used this and I've used this, and they both tend to work really well. They both have pros and cons in their own way. This is another option which I've heard about, which is the Thai rice flour. Can't remember what I paid for that, maybe $8 or something. You dilute it with water, mix it up, and it turns into a consistency like that. I have not yet used this to see if it's cost effective. Honestly, I think all three work well, so in my opinion, it's whatever is most cost effective. And again, this is just to wet the craft paper enough to where it, sticks to everything and binds it. So I've tied it off, and now what I'll do is I'll just wet it down a little bit, and then I'll do the last layer of the craft paper. It's a heavy craft paper. I don't know how many pound it is, but it's pretty heavy duty. So I've wet it. I'll go back to this and I'll keep doing layers until it fits into the tube in a way that's not. So I ended up with about, gosh, probably like 9 of these. I'm going to start with 5 and go from there. If you look at this one right here, it is quite a bit more wet than this one right here. This is usually what I'm going for, is something like this. It's crazy how much of it soaks in. So I'll show you this real fast. So there's still a little bit of space there, but I do want to, you want to leave some space. You don't want to have to like ram it down in. So just go right around. Can do kind of a sporadic pattern, but we'll get to where we're kind of covering up all of the cotton, the 8-ply or whatever it is cotton. I usually do a few more layers than that, but in this case I want to do another layer of the cotton and then maybe one more layer of this, and it's already getting kind of tight, so I'll put some cotton in after this. Woke up this morning and my kids proceeded to make fun of me. So yep, this is pretty much what I look like in the morning. Brother got volume. So this is where I'm at so far. This is the black batch that I made in one of my other videos. Oh god. There we go. This right here is what I'm going to use to make the quick batch. So I've tied that onto this, and then I'm going to try to pull it through. So from this side, I'll just take this and I'll kind of pull on it. See if I can get that threading through. There we go. So I'll just pull. So now I've pulled it through. I went ahead and made that. If you look at that, it ought to fill up nicely. And with this, it ought to bend a little bit better. So I'll fill this full of lift powder, which is 10% of the weight of this. I tend to go about 12%. And then I'll have the quick match running here. I'll take these off, of course, just so it can actually ignite. And then she ought to be ready to launch. So now I'm going to double check to make sure that it fits all right. Looks like it fits just perfect. It's actually, I'd say, even a tiny bit too snug. Reason being, when we have the black match going down in, that right there's a little bit on the snug side, but I like it. I think we're gonna go with it. So now I'll hot glue this. I'm gonna hot glue this, just like that. It doesn't even have to be centered. And the glue gun's been turned off. Yeah, let's go like this. Why not? As you can see, I went ahead and added some 8-strand cotton. I glued it right there. It comes around. I tried to dodge the middle. I tried to dodge any high points so that it'll hopefully slide down easily. And then I brought it to the back of the quick match. And now what I'll do is I'll kind of tie this to this so that I can put weight on this without having it pull away and separate. So this is where it gets fun. We're going to go ahead and weigh this bad boy. Got it zeroed out, and it looks like it weighs 857 grams. 858. Generally what you'll do is you'll use 10% lift. I've already kind of weighed it out, but what I did is, it's hard to do it one-handed, so I just already weighed it. I'm going to tear this, and then I dump in. This is the lift charge. So that right there is 10%. Yeah, that's about 10%. That's normally what we do, is you go 10% of weight. In this case, I'm going to go more like 11%. I like to shoot it up a little bit higher. I don't like to see the fire touch the ground, even though this time of year there's snow on the ground, so I'm not too worried about it. But regardless, I'm going to put about 96 grams of lift in there. So I'll go ahead and transfer this. Again, I think it was 95, 97 grams of lift charge into that. And then I will now connect this. I'll do it with hot glue, and I'll do it off camera. So I've let the glue set, and now what I did is I popped these off. These things, I don't know if I ever mentioned, but the whole time I've had these on there, it's just simply to protect that. That's all it's for. So fire will come down. It's going to hit the lift powder, and the lift powder will throw fire and not only launch it, but also ignite both of these. So now what I've done is I went and got some green fuse. It's probably, gosh, about 12 to 18 inches long, which is way more than I need, but I'd like to really get this one on film, and I hate running for my life and trying to turn around only to get a video of it. So I figured this time, as big as it is, as much time I've invested into this, I want to give myself plenty of time to get a step back and get a good video. But I take this and we'll just slip it slightly down into the black match, and then we'll tie it off and tape it off. Make sure that it's really tight. I can't tell you how many times I've been a little bit too cheap and made it too short and did not stuff it down far enough, and the fuse simply pulled out, kind of a thing. So I'll go ahead and tie and tape that. Whoa. Go, go, go. Yeah! It worked! Oh!